I'm Teacher Mike, and today we are talking about how to improve your listening when learning a new language. And although I am an English teacher, the information in this video should be useful to you no matter what language you are learning. So, the first thing that you should do if you want to improve your listening is make sure that you are listening to the language for at least 1 hour each day. And there's nothing special about 1 hour. This is just what I recommend as a starting point because it should be possible for most people. And this doesn't mean that you have to sit down and study for 1 hour. It just means that you should be listening to something. So, listen to something while you drive. Listen to something while you're on the bus. Listen to something while you're at the supermarket. Listen to something while you're exercising. Listen to something while you're in the shower. Any time that you are allowed to be listening to something, you should be listening to the language. And when you're listening, relax. Don't worry about understanding everything. That is not the goal. The goal is just to hear the basic sounds, words, and patterns of the language again and again, so that you start to become familiar with how the language sounds, even if you don't understand what everything means. This way, when you learn new words and phrases in the future, they will probably be things that you have already heard many times before, and this will make learning them a lot easier. And maybe you only understand about 5% of what you are listening to. That's fine, because again, the goal is just to start to become familiar with how the language sounds, not to understand every single word. Now, what should you listen to? Honestly, it doesn't really matter what you listen to. The only thing that I think is really important is that you are listening to native speakers speaking to other native speakers. That way, you know that the language that you are hearing is mostly correct and being spoken the way that it is spoken in real life. So, if you really like the Fast and the Furious movies, and you have lots of time to watch movies, watch the Fast and the Furious movies. If you like gardening, find an English language YouTube channel about gardening and watch that during your lunch break. If there's a book that you really like, see if there's an English audiobook for it and listen to that while you drive to work or while you do housework. Or just turn on your TV and look for any channel where people are speaking English. So that's my main advice for most people. Try to listen for at least 1 hour each day, and don't worry too much about trying to understand everything. However, if you have a bit of time each day where you can sit down and really focus on listening, here are 2 other things that I recommend doing. First, when you're listening, try to write down some of the things that you hear. This is a great way to practice listening because 1, it forces you to listen carefully. 2, you will discover new words and new grammar. And 3, when you are finished, you will have notes that you can come back to and review in the future. Second, choose a TV series that interests you and watch the whole series without subtitles. You will be surprised at how much you understand. After watching just 1 or 2 episodes, you'll have a pretty good idea of what the show is about and who the different characters are. And this will make it a lot easier to understand what they are talking about, even when you don't understand all of the language that they are using. This will also help you become more confident, because you'll probably notice that you can understand a lot more than you thought you could, even when there are words and phrases that you don't understand. And the final very important thing that I want to say is that I know that a lot of you like to turn on the captions while you are watching videos so that you can see all of the words on the screen. However, I do not recommend doing this. When all the words are on the screen, you are going to read all the words. And when you are reading all the words, you are not focusing on listening. So if your goal is just to have fun, learn a few new words, and watch a movie, yeah, using captions is fine. In fact, it can be very helpful. But if your goal is to improve your listening, I highly recommend keeping the captions turned off.